Hey, today I'm going to talk about something that I've seen come up a lot and asked by people who are trying to become a flight attendant. First, I got a lot of great news. As you know, and I've said before, I graduated middle of November, was released to the line where I was able to be a flight attendant the week of Thanksgiving. I was based in with my company in Fort Lauderdale the remainder of November. In Fort Lauderdale in December, January, and February. And I put in a transfer to be transferred to Orlando, which is closer to home because I live in Tampa, and I got it. So I have been in Orlando for the entire month of March. And it's been great because it's only like an hour and 20 minutes from my house is only an hour and 20 minutes. So I've been able to be home more. Whereas when I was in Fort Lauderdale, I would have to go and hang out the entire 6 days usually, which is how long I was on reserve. So I can go home after my trips, or there was one day I wasn't used and I was actually on ready. I was able to go back home, so it's been nice. And some more great news is I actually got a line. I got a line from April. So starting in April, I have a line, and I don't know if I'll keep it because a lot of times when people get a line, there's a month or two where they kind of go back and forth. But still, I'm very excited. I have a line. I have a predictable schedule. Just that, December, January, February, March, April, 5 months in, I have a line. So things are going great. But anyway, what I'm going to talk to you today about is something that I've seen is a lot of people question. There's a lot of people out there who are flight attendants, and we all kind of went through the same but different things. And there's a lot of people out there wanting to be flight attendants who are getting all this information from those of us who are. And one of the things that comes up is the pay. It's not the worst, but it's not the greatest. And unfortunately, what happens to a lot of people is they come from a certain amount of income and they go to a flight attendant, which is usually a little bit less. I'm going to tell you my situation. Again, feel free to ask people and listen to, because there's as many different situations and stories out there as there are flight attendants. But I'm just going to tell you what happened with me and how I dealt with that. However, first, I was actually retired when I decided to become a flight attendant and started pursuing flight attendant. So money wasn't as important to me. And I actually, even to this day, don't do the job for money. I only do it for the lifestyle and the things that I get out of it. Travel and being able to do my photography in different places. So that wasn't a big deal. But I understand that there are a lot of people that already have jobs and they depend on that job. And to go, and accept the CJO or contingent job offer and go into training where you don't get paid is a huge deal. So I get that. Again, I wasn't in that situation. I was retired, and it didn't affect me. I mean, I did kind of have to watch my pennies for a little bit, but it wasn't to the extent of everybody else, and it didn't hurt me. But the question that comes up with that as well is, how do you make money when you first become a flight attendant? Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. And again, I have a pretty sweet situation. My first job as a flight attendant, I'm working in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm only a 3.5 hour drive, half-hour flight from home, and I don't have to deal with bad weather. Now I'm in Orlando an hour and a half. But this is just what I did, and maybe you can take something from it, maybe not. But so I had always kind of been driving, even though I'd been retired, I'd kind of been driving for Uber, Lyft, and even Amazon Prime. Didn't really need the money, but we can never turn away money. And a lot of times it's nice to have that extra money, and it was nice to buy that, have extra money to buy things for the boat or something that I really want, or a piece of photography equipment, that sort of thing. So when I was in training, there was no opportunity to do anything like drive or work. You have to 100% commit yourself to training and do nothing but worry about studying and passing everything and achieving your goal. But once I got out, what would happen is I would go to Fort Lauderdale, and because it's a 3.5 hour drive and I was sitting on reserve or being on reserve, first month I went reserve, what we call reserve C at my company, which was from 2 in the afternoon to midnight. And sometimes I'd have to sit ready, which means I'd have to sit at the airport from like 7 to midnight. Well, at midnight it was kind of too late to drive home, and I had to be in the area because what that means is from that reserve period is that they can call you at any time. Doesn't mean you're going to work, but basically at 12 midnight or 2 in the afternoon, they could call and say, hey, we need you for a trip tonight at 11 or 7 or 6 or whatever. After December, I went to Reserve A, which was from midnight to 10 in the morning. And so again, starting at 12:01, they could call me at any time and say, hey, we have a trip for you. You need to report at 5, you need to report at 7, you report tomorrow night. That never happened, but they could say that. Or they could sit there and say, you have to be ready, which means I have to sit at the airport for 5 hours. But like I said, with it being a 3.5 hour drive, it was too much to get off reserve or be ready and then drive home only to drive back a few hours later. So I always had to stay in Fort Lauderdale. But when I was in Fort Lauderdale, what I would do is I would Uber. And I wouldn't, so during my time in Fort Lauderdale, when I was home, I'd make extra money doing Amazon Prime. When I was in Fort Lauderdale, I would do Uber. I didn't really do Lyft because for me, all the places that I've lived, with San Diego now in Florida, I just don't do as well with Lyft. I don't, like, there would be times I'd have both of them up and open, and Uber is the one that comes in. So for me, Uber's been the moneymaker. And I would make pretty good money in the Fort Lauderdale area. So like what would happen is, I'd go on reserve, let's say 10 o'clock would roll around, or even if they put me on ready from 5 to 10, once I got done, I would go change, and I would pretty much just Uber for the rest of the day, loosely. What I mean by loosely is because sometimes, I didn't know Fort Lauderdale, so maybe I want to go hang out at the beach, or I could drive and then I could stop, do something, see something, go get something to eat. But I would make pretty good money, and I'd be like, I'm just going to Uber from noon to 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I would make pretty good money. It was a good way for me to learn the city as well as make some extra cash. So that's what I did in Fort Lauderdale. I've only been in, and then again, when I was in Fort Lauderdale, when I was at home, sometimes I would pick up Amazon Prime shifts on my days off. So that's how I kind of made extra money, or have been making extra money. Now that I'm in Orlando, it's a little bit different story. I'm not driving as much. I haven't tried to drive in Orlando. For example, I'm in Atlantic City right now, and I've been sitting reserve. I was deadheaded in, sat reserve yesterday and today from 3 in the morning to 1. I'm done now, and they're going to deadhead me tomorrow. I'm actually going to try to get an alternate deadhead home here before long. I thought I'd get this in before. But if I don't get an alternate deadhead and I take my original intended deadhead, I will get in to Orlando like 8:30. I'm not gonna drive. In Uber. I'll just go ahead and head home and pick up an Amazon shift, because there tends to be Amazon Prime shifts that open up in the afternoon, anywhere from noon to 1, 2, 3 up to 5 o'clock. Usually 3-hour blocks, and they pay about close to what I'm making as a flight attendant per hour, and I can decide if I want to work it or not. Actually, right now what I've been doing, because I'm still on reserve, is I'll actually pick up shifts that come in advance, and then if for some reason I have to fly out or I get flown out, I'll go ahead and drop it, and that's no problem as long as you do it within 2 hours before your Amazon Prime. So for me, that's how I've been making extra money, and it's worked out really well. Again, that's not going to work out for everybody, because if you're a commuter, let's say somebody that's commuting in from Dallas to Orlando or Fort Lauderdale, when you work with Amazon Prime, you have to just basically stick with one city. And if you're commuting, you may not have a car with you in your city that you're based out of. But if you do, you could definitely do something like that. So again, that's how I have made extra money. I've been making extra money by driving with Amazon Prime and Uber. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Please subscribe. I got a lot more videos coming on flight attendant and traveling, cooking, and even some outdoor adventures. So again, I will like the video. If you have any questions, put them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. And take care, everyone. Happy flying. And those of you who are wanting to become a flight attendant, don't give up. Keep on trying, and you will get where I'm at and where lots of other people are, and you will love it. Good day.